Okay, we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 13th Levitum Knot. We've got a special guest this time. We have Asim Pereira. He's a world-renowned Android app developer. He's built some of the best chess apps that are out there, including the World Championships chess app, as well as a couple of apps for chess puzzles, which are very popular in the chess community. He's got a little story he also shared with me yesterday where uh, even yesterday while we were on a hangout together, suddenly a window pops up and he's chatting with Vishy Anand. And he mentioned to me that earlier when he used to tell his wife that this is Vishy Anand that he's chatting with, his wife would never believe him. And she'd tell him that there must be some manager at some company with the same name or something like that. And I believed him for a while, but I'm sure that's changed now, right, Asim?
Well, yeah, after so many instances, she now has to believe. She does believe.
So,
But sometimes
Asim,
actually
great to
believe
have you here.
myself because it's a bit unbelievable for myself as well. So it's like it's a dream come true.
Well, you'll have to tell us more about him on the call. And Asim's here to talk about chess strategy and tactics. And I'm sure we'll end up meandering into Android and a number of other topics too as we go along. Really glad to have you here. It was great having you at DroidCon last year, and great to have you here joining the group. We've got a number of chess enthusiasts. We'll have more people joining in, so hopefully this should be a fun call. So with that, I'll let you take it from here, Asim.
Arvind, thanks for the introduction. So I'll just start off with my browser. Let me see if I can share my browser itself. Okay, can you guys see the chessboard?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So there is this chess Olympiad which is currently in progress in Tromsø, Norway, and today is the last round. It starts at 2:30 India time, and so far India is doing good. So there was this instance, a game between two players, women players, one from Zimbabwe and I think one from Togo. The game started like this. He played e4. The other player responded with this move. The second move was this, and she responded with this, and this move ended the game. This is a checkmate. And it actually happened at the chess Olympiad, where the best countries send their best players. But then it actually turns out that it is not a fluke. I think it was some kind of a protest from the player playing the black color for whatever reason. But this shows a beauty of chess. It's like a mate in three. You just make these moves, and you're actually mated with no other option for the king to go. No piece can come in the middle, or nobody can even capture this queen. So this is a checkmate. So I just wanted to show you guys the beauty of chess, and I thought I'll walk you through some interesting chess games which have been played in the history. And chess is quite unique in that sense, right? You can actually go back to 1700s or 1800s and see the games which were played during those days. So here is one game played in London 1851. Is this screen in front of you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was played between Adolf Anderssen and Lionel Kizaritsky. This is known as the immortal game of chess. Okay, so we'll just quickly see how this game unfolded. Standard openings where one guy tries to dominate the center. So as we progress, I'll try to explain some strategies of chess. In chess, the most vital strategy is the control of these four squares. So these are called as the center squares: e4, e5, d4, and d5. Just like in typical war, right, where you have a height advantage. So let's say if your army is at a height, then you can view all the surrounding area. So if you have a knight position here or a sentry tower here, then you have a view of all the things which are happening around. So that is the similar analogy in chess world as well, where if you have good amount of pieces or your knight or your queen posted on these squares, these are the center squares, then you have a slight advantage. So generally people get the knight out and move it into these center squares, right? So this is what even these players were doing, and he's challenging the center, right, by getting this piece out. So this piece has influence over this square, so it is protecting, right? No piece can actually go here because of this. So essentially white is challenging this center square by telling, okay, you know what, you can capture this, I'm giving you this pawn for free, because as you can see, this pawn has no support. And by the way, I'm assuming you guys are aware of the basic chess rules, so I'll not touch upon the rules. Okay, the black captures the pawn. And other important rule of chess is to develop your minor pieces. So let's say the first rule is about center control, then the second rule is about your minor pieces. Now in chess, minor pieces are the knights and the bishops. So these are called bishops. हम लोग हिंदी में उसको ऊंट बोलते थे. So your bishops and your knights are also called as horses. These are your minor pieces. So you first open up and gain control of center. Secondly, players try to get their minor pieces out. Okay. So black kind of violates the rule and directly attacks with his queen. So generally within the first few moves, it is not advisable to get your queen out. But okay, here I think black saw something lucrative, saying, you know what, I can actually attack his king directly and there is no obvious problem, so let me go ahead and do that. And he did that. So now white was kind of forced to move his king. And in chess, once you move your king, you can no longer castle. So castling is one important move in chess. It works like this. So let's say if you, let me go back to this. Let me see if I can start a new game. Sorry, give me a moment.
I think most people may be familiar with it.
Okay, so then I'll skip that. Okay, so I think maybe in other games we'll come across castling, so then I can show what castling involves. So black attacks white's bishop here, and he captures. Okay, it's a free pawn, so as we'll capture it. Black moves his knight, developing his minor piece, also attacking this pawn. Now white moves his knight, attacking the black queen. So logically, you have to move your queen. So that is what he has moved it. Now he tries to develop the other minor pieces. So if you see, chess is quite easy actually to play. You push your pawns to control the center squares, and you make moves which allow your minor pieces to free themselves. So knights can of course hop out, but bishops need to be made space using pawns. So that's what white does. And another rule of chess is, wherever possible, try and avoid moving the same piece twice. So black has already moved his knight from here to here, and he has moved it one more time because he thinks that, okay, you know what, I'm going to checkmate white's king as early as possible. White does the same thing, which is okay. He's attacked the white knight. He's moved it to a safer place. Black cannot capture because of the pawn. Black has attacked white's bishop. And here's one interesting move he does. So after black attacked the white bishop, instead of moving it back, white counter-attacked the black knight. And black cannot capture this pawn, so he moves the knight. So there were two attacks on this pawn, with the queen and with the knight, and only one defense. So white chooses to support one more time. And in this process, white actually gives off his bishop. So if you remember, the bishop was attacked at this point. He counter-attacked, he moved back, and the bishop is still unsupported here. So he essentially sacrifices his piece. and white attacks black's queen. He is forced to move back because this pawn cannot be captured. He attacks again. Black is forced to do something about this pawn because it is under attack from two pieces, only one defense, and there is a threat that black's queen will be trapped, right? Because now if bishop takes this pawn, the queen has nowhere to go. So what he does is he moves his knight back so that his queen can move back, and that's what he essentially does. So now he's free. But remember, now black is actually attacking this pawn which has no support, and this rook also which has no support. So he gets his knight out. Black has attacked white's rook here, and in chess rooks are better or higher valued than the bishop or the knight. White attacks black's bishop, black's knight, black's king here, and gives away the pawn. So another sacrifice. So remember, white already is one piece down. His bishop, he's lost it, but he's still attacking. And here's an important move. So black has captured the pawn and is threatening to actually capture the rook as well, giving a check. But white is unfazed. White just prepares a brilliant plan. He just moves his bishop here and gives another rook. So white is essentially has very few pieces left. This is an interesting move. This move, so you know, in war, if your pieces are cut off from your rest of the enemy, then you kind of short of important pieces. So black's queen is the most important piece here on the board, and it is active. Rest all are sleeping, and now essentially it is cut off from the king and from the rest of the pieces. So that was a white's idea. So he essentially gives another piece. So see the amount of pieces white has and black has. White moves here. And now finally black tries to bring out other pieces which were sleeping, and this is the doom for black. See how finally the game gets over. First move, white gives a check. Black king cannot go here, neither can he go here because of the bishop, so he's forced to move one step here and check the next move. Queen gives a check. So white sacrifices his queen because now the knight also can capture it. That's what black does, and black is checkmated. There is no other move left.
Wow, amazing.
So black has everything, but his king is lost because king cannot go here because of the knight. King cannot capture this bishop because of the knight. King cannot go here because of this knight. So this is the immortal game of chess. So did you guys like the game?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, great.
Very interesting.
So we'll see one more game, and this is called as the evergreen game. And remember, this was played in 1851, and now this game is played in 1852 between Adolf Anderson and Johann de France. So now I'll not explain much, I'll just quickly go through the game. In this game, again, center control, important aspect of chess. Get your minor pieces out, that is also important. That's what black does as well. So he's ready for castling as well. Get your pieces out, development, that is again important. That's what black does as well. Now this is an interesting sacrifice, it's a gambit. So white is essentially giving up his pawn. See, again, the interesting thing is, if you notice, all of these moves have been done with the aim to control the center. This move was moved here so that he controls this square. Black moved here, e5, so that he can control the d4 square. Similarly, knight is controlling this square. His knight is controlling the center square. White's bishop is controlling the center square. Black's bishop is controlling the center square. So you can see the importance of the centers. So essentially with this move, black is saying, you know what, I'm sacrificing a pawn and I'm putting one less piece on the center square. Black captures. He again threatens. He moves back. And see, white is now trying to control the center. Okay? He captures. White sacrifices yet another pawn. So instead of capturing, because he cannot capture the pawn because of this check. He says, you know what, you can have my pieces, I'm going to develop my king, put him to safety, get all my pieces out. So black moves, and now with this move he's attacking f7. Arvind, is my mouse also visible?
Visible to me, yeah, yeah.
Okay, the mouse movements are visible, right? Because I cannot draw arrows. So black defends the f7 pawn here, and white chooses to attack the queen and giving one more pawn. So you can see this white pawn has only one defense and two attackers, but he cannot capture it, because if he captures and the queen moves away, then this pawn falls. So that is a trap, you can say, in chess. You can see white is trying to develop his pieces, so he gets his rook out. Black is trying to defend, and white gets his bishop out from here, again developing and attacking the black king. Here now black is trying to free his pieces also and makes a counter gambit, counter sacrifice, which white gladly accepts. You can see he's attacked his queen with the rook, so white has to do something. He moves it back. He now tries to attack this square with his bishop. White brings his other final pieces into play. See, because just like in war, right, you have to get all your forces out to actually mount an attack, mount a successful attack. So that's what white is doing. But the important difference in this position is white's king is safe, but black's king is still in the center, which is always a risk, and that is what spells do. He is attacking. Black is still oblivious to the impending attack, and now comes a interesting move. So white is still trying to kind of gain some kind of attack over here, thinking that okay, his two bishops are attacking the white king, but white now makes a brilliant sacrifice, a knight sacrifice. So you can see the pawn is already actually attacking the piece, and knight is better than a pawn. So black captures it, and white captures with the pawn. So the problem is this knight is now pinned. That is what we call in chess, because of this rook, which is indirectly attacking the king, the knight cannot move. So he tries to counter attack. This is an interesting counter attack plan, which will be revealed in another few moves. White gets all his pieces into action. Black sacrifices his queen. But you can see it is actually not a sacrifice, because this white pawn cannot capture the queen because of the check, right? Because this is an illegal move. You cannot capture the black queen. But here is interesting thing. White sacrifices his rook as well. As I said earlier, a rook is always better than a knight, because rook generally has 5 points and knight has 3 points. So white chooses to sacrifice his rook with this move. Black captures happily, thinking, you know what, he has all his pieces out, unlike the earlier game where black's pieces were sleeping, right? Now black has all his pieces active. In fact, they are attacking the white king. But now comes a move which he never expected. White sacrifices his queen with this move. There's no support. Black accepts it. And now white gives a double check. So double check is something where two pieces are delivering a check. You can see. So knight cannot capture because it's a check with this move, with the rook. And queen cannot capture the white rook because there's a check with the white bishop here. Right? So he's forced to move. He moves behind. White gives a check one more time. Now black king cannot capture the white bishop, so he moves here, and finally the game ends in checkmate with the two bishops. So that was the end of the game. So did you guys like the two games?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Really neat, amazing.
So anytime you guys want to just get some inspiration or inspire any kids, just show them these two games. It's called Immortal Game of Chess, and the other is called Evergreen Game of Chess. Right. So Well, there are a lot of similar games, but since we are all fans of Vishy Anand, I'll show you one last game which involves Vishy Anand. Okay. And this, see, the earlier games were played in 1851. This game was played last year, 2013, in Tata Steel Championship between a very strong player from Armenia called Levan Aronian, and Vishy Anand is playing black. Okay, so let's start. Again, center control. So sometimes you can play e4, e5, or you can choose to make d4, d5. So when I say these terms, right, e4, e5, it's very easy to follow. So if you see here, the board is laid out with coordinates. At the bottom left, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this square is A1, A2, A3, A4. And the way you record moves is you say pawn d4. So you can say d5. So if I move the knight, it's a knight f3. So this square is f and 3, like a coordinate system. So that's what it is. Okay. So Levan plays c4, c6, and this is standard openings. Center control and minor pieces are coming out, as I said earlier. Okay. So all the moves are pretty much aimed at that: controlling the center, getting your pieces out, developing, putting your king to safety. I'm going to quickly browse through them. So both kings are safe, unlike the earlier games where one king was in trouble. They're developing their pieces, both sides, because both are very strong players. Some moves here and there. So now white starts attacking. Now in chess, at a high level, where we're at Vishy Anand's level or level above, like the top 25 in the world, top 50 in the world, the player playing the white pieces is generally considered to have an advantage over the player who is playing the black pieces. The reason is because, let's say like in war, right? If somebody is allowed to strike with the first blow, he generally has advantage, because you know what, he has the first shot. So similarly, since white makes the first move, and at this very high level, every move and every tempo counts. So white is generally considered to have an advantage, and generally, I think at the top level games, 60 to 55% games are won by white, and others are drawn, and very few are won by black. And this is remarkable because Vishy Anand playing black actually won this game. So let's see how he does it. White now attacks this pawn on h7 for the third time, with this knight, with the bishop, and with the queen, right? And see what Anand does. Anand coolly ignores that threat. He just opens up his bishop from b7 here. So white gladly accept that pawn, free pawn. Okay. So remember now, if I'm saying that at the high level, single move, first move is important, that means the importance of a pawn and piece is also very evident. So giving up a pawn, nobody generally does that. But Anand has some other interesting plans. So white captures the pawn, and Anand kind of counterattacks. But here's an interesting thing: when white captured this pawn, Anand's rook is actually under attack with the knight. But Anand chose to ignore that, because as I said, rooks are actually better than the knights. Anand had his own plans. So Anand counterattacked with the knight and with the bishop here. You can see this. So this guy blocks it, saying, okay, you know what, I have to protect mine as well. I don't want to be greedy, unlike the earlier games. Anand chooses to capture, and check out this move. Now, which sane guy will put his bishop in front of a pawn where the pawn can actually capture it? But Anand does that. He just says, okay, you know what, you can capture my bishop if you want to. He does not, because these guys calculate about like 10-15 moves ahead. So they have seen stuff which to our ordinary eyes is not quite evident. So he counterattacks black's bishop here. So now see how many of white's pieces are under attack. Kind of none of them, maybe except this bishop, which can probably attack the pawn. But look at how many black's pieces are under attack. The knight can attack the rook. This bishop can attack the knight here. This pawn can actually capture the bishop here. So like so many pieces are hanging. And Anand keeps one more piece. Say, you know what? Choose whatever piece you want. So now there are 4 pieces which are under attack. So he first captures this. Anand captures this pawn and gives a check. So the white king has to move. He is forced to move. Anand then captures this bishop. And finally, he captures the rook here. Now remember, rook is important than a knight. So essentially, in terms of material, Anand is bad. So here's what Anand does. So he's captured it. Anand doesn't immediately capture this knight. He actually blocks this queen's entry into black's camp by playing this move f5. So now you can see the white queen cannot enter inside black's camp. He says, oh, you know what, I've got a free piece. Let me get my knight out to safety. He brings his knight out. So count the number of pieces. Anand has queen, a rook, 2 bishops, and a knight. And this gentleman actually has 4, 5, and 6 pieces compared to Anand's 5 pieces. So Anand is essentially a piece down. Anand attacks that knight. White counter attack. So both knights are attacked. Anand says, okay, you can capture my knight. I'm going to capture the knight first. But here's what he does. He cannot capture the knight because of a check here. And the king is trapped because the king cannot go out. So he tries to get his queen and attack the. Anand makes this move. See, the important difference in this position is white's pieces are not active yet. So this is called undeveloped piece. These 2 pieces are still on the original squares. But black's pieces are all active. So even if you are a piece down, it essentially doesn't matter. Because let's say, your one person is sleeping. Anand makes this move. And white actually resigns. So in under 3-4 moves, it's actually a forced end. For our eyes, it's not evident. Oh, why did white resign? But if you calculate under 3 moves, there is no end to how this game is going to end. Because with this move, with this earlier move, Anand is actually threatening to capture this pawn directly with the queen here, because white cannot capture with the pawn because of this check. So that will be an illegal move. So that is the reason white actually defended this h3 pawn here with his queen. But see, what Anand has done is he has essentially blocked the queen. So now it's not easy for white to defend this pawn, and it's a checkmate, because next move, queen kills white pawn here, is going to be a checkmate. So that is how the game ended. All right. So those were the 3 interesting games from my side. You guys have any questions or any comments so far?
It's actually fascinating, especially in the first 2 games, to watch the number of times that, given a clear approach, the white in the first game, I think, was willing to sacrifice a number of pieces to allow his position to build up. So because he knew sort of the plan he was working to much ahead.
Right.
Otherwise, sort of building your pieces and letting and sacrificing the pieces is sort of a fairly risky approach if you're just sort of playing a couple of moves ahead.
Right, absolutely. Yep, so now you guys are fully charged. Do you guys want to either play a game of chess or solve puzzles by yourself? They're simple puzzles. Would you guys like to give a try? Or Arvind, if you're online, you would like to play a game?
Yeah, we could start with the puzzles. I think it sounds like fun. So.
Sure, I think we are almost out of time anyways. Okay, so let's start with some puzzles. Okay, these puzzles are from my book, which is on Kindle. So it's a very simple idea. It's called as a knight fork. Okay, I'm going to give away the solution for the first puzzle, and the remaining puzzles you can try to solve on your own. It's the same idea. Okay, so in this, the solution is white to move. Okay, this indicator shows who it is to move. White knight will capture this pawn and fork these 2 pieces. The knight.
Yes, the screen share is off, Asim.
Oh, sorry, I stopped screen sharing. Sorry, my bad. Okay, is this visible now? Okay, right. So knight on g4 is going to capture this h6 pawn and going to win this piece. So because it's a fork, or knight fork is what we call in chess parlance, and then black is left with less number of pieces. Okay, so in the subsequent puzzles, the idea is to look out for knight forks. Okay, and you guys can speak out the moves and tell me how it is. So here knight goes to h6 is going to check the king and as well as attack the rook. Okay, so okay, so here again, white to move. Can you find the winning move for white? The theme, the tactical idea is a fork. Fork is where enemy piece attacks two of your pieces.
So I see the horse. Okay, hang on, the screen went off. Going to f7. Oops, sorry, to f6.
To f6. Brilliant, brilliant. You're a brilliant guy. Arvind, you're a future world champion.
So that means breakfast at least, right?
Definitely. You have to get all the puzzles right. So Arvind is right. The knight goes to f6, gives a check, attacks this rook as well, and more importantly, attacks this queen. And the pawn cannot capture because of this check. So it will be an illegal move. So this knight fork wins the queen. Okay. So next one. White to play and win. The idea is same, fork.
Again, same thing, right? Knight to f6.
Knight to f6, absolutely. So in this case, it's a fork. The king is in check, the queen falls, and the pawn cannot capture because of this check. So it's an illegal move in that sense. So knight kills f6 is the correct move. So it's 1-1 Lavin and Arvind. Okay, so one more. Black to play and win this time.
Right, so f3.
Knight f3, that's correct. So knight f3 attacks the king, so you win the queen. So the okay, I'll go to the next puzzle and then we'll discuss something. Okay, white to play and win.
To e6.
Perfect. So knight to e6 is a check again, wins the queen, and the pawn cannot capture because of this check. Black to play and win. So remember, in this terms, the material is almost equal because white has a rook and black has compensating two minor pieces. But here, black to play and win.
Yeah, e2.
Perfect. So knight to e2 checks the king and wins the rook. So 4 more puzzles. White to play and win.
Yeah, d6, I think.
Perfect. So knight to d6, check and wins the queen. Black to play and win.
To f3, knight to f3.
Perfect. So knight to f3, similar idea as we have seen earlier. The pawn cannot capture, you're winning the queen. And remember, the important thing is these puzzles, these positions are actually not made up. These are from actual games played throughout the history of chess. So these are actual games, and at some point the opponents have come across these positions and fallen into these traps.
Asim, one question about capturing the history of the games, right? How far back does it go, and I mean, what are the archives like, and how have people been capturing all these historical games? I mean, even way before 1800s and all that. You seem to have a lot of archives, right?
I've seen one game recorded which is from 1700 as well. But yeah, they started recording quite later. So most of these earlier recordings were through memory. So not every time people used to write down or jot down the moves. But I think even up to 1700s, we have some games in the available for browsing.
That itself, I think, is remarkable. I mean, perhaps given the history, it's a little late, but still, right? It's remarkable that we have games from 1800s, and we can still share and.
That's the beauty of chess, because you can replay over that game and that moment again and over again, and it's just never ending. The beauty, right? You just keep on absorbing it. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, same related question. Do we have history of Indian chess as well? I know that the rules were originally slightly different, right? Like pawn could move only single step,
Correct.
and the queen could do a horse-like move once, right? I think there was something.
I think so. I'm not well versed with the earlier origins of chess. I think it's called Chaturanga or something. But yeah, they say chess was invented maybe in India or Persia, and we were the guys who started playing chess. But maybe it was not necessarily the same version of chess that as we know as of today. But yes, our kings and there were good old players. Somebody called as Mir Sultan Khan, who was actually I don't know if servant is the right word, but he was a helper to some British person, and he actually started visiting Europe along with the gentleman and started playing chess there. And he actually was probably in the world top 10 at that time. Maybe I think it was early 1900s or late 1800s.
Yeah, actually, I think what I heard about this person, this is the person who developed the Indian defense opening, right?
I'm not very sure. It could be. It could be.
Sir, he defeated Alicane and Capablanca and Oscar. All three world champions he defeated.
Wow.
Right. I think he defeated Capablanca, right? So Capablanca is a.
He defeated all three world champions: Alicane, Capablanca, and Oscar. And there is one more girl also there. She also world champion. She also from India, India plus Pakistan. She also from there. That Punjab.
Right.
They both played very well.
Yes, that's interesting. And now, unfortunately, for the past decade, I think we only have Anand in the top 10, top 20. But yeah, hopefully the future of chess should be good, because today actually you should all be watching or rooting for the Olympiad last round. Indian men playing Uzbekistan and actually have some sort of outside chance of getting the bronze medal amongst 174 countries. So we are currently at position 8.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, to the last puzzles. So here, okay, I'll just give up the solution. Same idea. Knight to g4 attacks the king and the queen. Bishop cannot capture because of the check. And one final puzzle. So this is a little difficult. See if you can spot it. Black to play.
To g4.
Perfect. You're right. So knight to g4 forks both these pieces. So the idea behind this is, right, now with this 9-10 puzzles, we have learned one pattern. And chess and these grandmasters and super grandmasters and the world champions, right, they say these people actually have hundreds, thousands, and tens and thousands of these kind of patterns into their memory. So essentially, at most of the time, right, when they're playing over the board, more than calculating, they even are recollecting patterns and games that they have seen in the past from the old games. So when I purchased my first game of chess, it came with a CD of, I think, 1.3 million games of chess database. Okay, and then there is this guy, Vasily Ivanchuk of Ukraine. He was asked a question, sir, how many games do you have in your database? So he said, I have about 10,000 games. So they said, oh, that's all? And his answer was, that's all I can remember. So those are the number of games he could actually remember in his memory, and I could play anytime without actually even looking at them. And maybe we remember 5 or 10, and grandmasters remember so many games. So chess is all about remembering patterns, the basic principles of chess, enjoying those games, and recollecting what the masters have played. Right. So that's all from my side, Arvind.
Hey, thanks, Asim. Guys, I think it's been an amazing session. Maybe we should do a quick round of questions, and if someone would like to challenge Asim for a game, we could do a live one if we have time.
I'm a little curious about your experiences interacting with all these grandmasters and how that felt, and if you have any interesting memories to share, it'd be nice to hear them.
Sure. So the biggest for me that has happened was in the corporate championship which I played in 2012. I got an opportunity to have dinner with Anand. So we were about 10 people in the room. So after the tournament got over, I was one of the ones who was selected, and that was my first ever interaction with somebody at a top echelon of chess, and had to be the world champion, then world champion Anand. And he got a phone call, and that time he got a phone onto his head, and then I saw it was an Android device. And luckily, I already had some chess apps on Android, and I thought, okay, that was my moment. So I said, okay, you know what? I showed him some games. Okay, these are my apps which I've built, and he was so amazing. He gave me his email address. Said, you know what? Just drop me a note. Give me a link to this. He'll try. Next day, he actually tried it. He replied, and since then we have been interacting and chatting, and it has been never ending. So that is like a dream come true. And he's an amazing person, down to earth. And after I actually quit my full-time corporate job, so it's been one and a half year. So I'm now working full-time on my own. Now I've developed so many relationships because of chess, because of this passion, that I interact or chat with other grandmasters as well. So yeah, these are amazing things which I would have never maybe gotten an opportunity to do if I was playing chess. So I'm programming chess and I'm interacting with them.
Yeah, and it was the off chance, right? I mean, it was a casual moment and it just occurred to you. So the element of chance is incredible.
Yes. That is true. So that happened, and then the World Championship happened. I was the official partner there. I got an opportunity to develop the app, and then I met more chess and like-minded people, and yeah. So that's just one moment you can say turned the whole thing.
Have you played a game with him?
Oh yes, I did play a game. So in that same session, it was a simul. So in chess, right, a simul is where these top players play almost 100, 200, or maybe 50 boards together. So he just goes in a loop and makes one move at a time on all these chess boards. So I was one of the simultaneous chess participant. Due to time constraint, we couldn't finish the game, but then I had a opportunity to actually analyze that game. So then he said, okay, this is a mistake, this is a mistake, this is what you could have done better, and so on. So you can say it is almost equal, but I had sacrificed a piece just to make him stay longer at my board, because you know what, they just come within a few seconds, they make a move and they go to the next board. So if you make some incredible move, whether it's a good sacrifice or not, at least he stood for a few more seconds and he stopped by my board. So yeah, that was a game which is still not finished, you can say.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Any other questions for Asim?
What can we look forward to with what's next in your line of chess apps? Because it'll be interesting to know. So I downloaded your ebook as well, and that's great too. So what's next?
Well, thanks, Lavanya. When I'm sleeping, or just in that half an hour before you actually end up sleeping, you dream, you visualize, and you get a lot of ideas. Okay, this is something you can do. This is what I can do, and more importantly, because I am attached to chess and I'm myself a user. So you can say at this point there are at least what 4 or 5 different chess ideas that are currently in the pipeline. So of course, I mean, not all of them might actually see the day of light, but something for chess endgames, and one for for chess fans, where you can, you're an Anand fan or a Magnus Carlsen fan. So you could have an app which tells you, okay, he's currently playing, what is his game, when is his next tournament, his tweets, if somebody's saying something about him. So there are a few ideas that I have in mind.
Look forward to all of that, Asim. Good luck and keep up the wonderful work because I mean, in a way, your apps have made it very accessible, not just to, I mean, adults like me who sort of want to, play a little more chess, reviving some old childhood interest or something, but even little kids, right? It's so easy to use and, it's very easy to hold interest. So thanks a lot for that.
Sure, thanks.
Hey, cool. Thanks, guys. Unless there's any other questions, thank you so much, Asim. Amazing, inspiring session. Again, thanks for all the amazing work and great that you could join us. Looking
Thanks for
forward and we'll be watching to look at new updates of apps and yeah, I definitely owe you breakfast now. We'll have to plan something and I'll let you know what it is.
Sure. Yes, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Asim.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.